to the webinar, which is a collaboration between enableHR and Key Business Advisors, who are one of our leading ambassadors as part of the enableHR partner. I'm very excited to be here with Colin Wilson, who's a director at Keybar. So Colin and I have known each other for a little over 6 years and have been working together during that time. And Cole brings decades worth of experience and expertise in helping Australian SMEs actually grow their businesses. Given that enableHR was the brainchild of FCB Workplace Law, we tend to find that the majority of our thought leadership and webinars tend to focus on some of the more mundane areas, which mainly focus around compliance and risk mitigation. But today we thought we'd take it in a bit of a different step and take a far more holistic view about what businesses need to do to find themselves back on the road to success after what has been an extremely trying time over the course of the last 10 months or so. Obviously for our Victorian friends as well, a lot of them are still grappling with this currently troubled environment. But by way of introduction, my name's Alistair McDonald. I'm the Head of Business Development and Marketing for FCB Group, which encompasses enableHR. Within the group, we've also got FCB Workplace Law, Smart Visa, which is our migration and immigration practice, and HR Assured, which is an outsourced HR solution. But I might hand over to Cole to introduce himself.
Yeah, thanks, Alistair. Yeah, my name is Colin Wilson, and I'm the Director of Key Business Advisors. I think we've been a enableHR partner for now, been coming up almost 10 years, so might be a bit of silver that we're due there, Alistair. But yeah, we're very proud. We love the product. Our whole team loves the product, and I'm really looking forward to sharing, some of the stuff that we do, for many clients out there for our business. So we have a great partnership with enableHR. We collaborate very, very well, and we're not just one. We're one partner. There are many other partners other HR professionals throughout Australia that partner with enableHR, and we just love the product. And my HR team, I know, absolutely love the product, and so do our clients, which is really, really good. So I'm just going to go through and talk a bit about today's webinar, some of the things we'll be covering. So it is not, as Alistair said, we're going to take it from a different level. So this is the things that I'm very passionate about, which is setting that right pathway for success. And COVID-19 has been challenging for many businesses, and we're here in Victoria where we're still in a lockdown period where we've got to stick to restrictions, which has been really tough. And a lot of retailers can't even open their doors at the moment, so that's still pretty tough way it's working down here. So we're going to go through setting the right pathway for success. I'm really big on ripping that band-aid off for greater outcomes. How do we get really good outcomes with our business and have that focus point? Ways to engage the staff for greater outcomes, I think, is important, and ways to develop those new business opportunities, because there's many businesses that have pivoted their business, but how do they try and get it back on track as things start to open up? And we're going to finish off with what we believe is 5 great ways enableHR software can help your business. And for those people who've got the product, absolutely fantastic. Biggest question I want to know is, are you using it to its full capacity? I'm just going to go through a bit of housekeeping. So today's webinar will be recorded. Everyone is on mute mode. We will take some questions and answers at the end of the webinar. At the conclusion of this webinar, you'll get a survey sent to you asking you for your feedback. So as Alistair said, this is a new initiative of a partner working with enableHR, talking about something that's a bit different than normally the compliance side of things. So love to get your feedback, and everyone who's participated in this webinar within 24 hours will receive a copy of the webinar as well as the slides. So just a little bit about Key Business Advisors. There's 3 main things that we really love and very passionate about. Number 1 is helping companies with that sound business advice and strategy. Where you're taking your business, where do you want to grow, and how do you want to, right now, as a lot of companies pivoting their business, but what's your strategy look like? I do a lot of professional sales training, customer service training, because sales is the blood of the business. And I think, if you link strategy and sales together, you get a really good outcome. And that third part is that HR advice and support. So our business has 5 key professionals, fully qualified HR professionals that are out giving advice every day, working out in clients' businesses to try and take them from good to great, which is our catchphrase. And we link all these 3 services together, which really gives what we think is a really good value add to our clients. And we're very proud, enableHR ambassador. I think we were first merging partner, then we became partner of the year, and then first platinum partner. So we really back the product. And I know my HR professionals in this business love using the product because of what you get with inside the product, which I think is important. Maybe Alistair, you can take us a bit through the enableHR functionality of enableHR.
Sure, glad to, Cole. Well, look, we've got up on the screen there the different key features and functionality of the platform itself. There's a few ones that are probably worth mentioning. The 200 documents and processes, all of which have been designed by FCB Workplace Law. It's very unique in the sense that all of the IP has been designed and is maintained by accredited specialists in industrial relations and ER law. The employee self-service, likewise, is a channel to actually engage with your workforce and keep them abreast of their own rights and responsibilities in conjunction to HR in the business. Work health and safety is another key area. It's a very large part of the software as well, and it's a comprehensive offering that really does kill two birds with one stone as far as having an integrated HR and safety system in the one place. And likewise as well, it's a topic we're going to touch on a little bit further in the presentation, is performance reviews and how you can actually provide real-time feedback to your staff and let them know how they're going. I think there's probably never been a more important time to keep your staff engaged and have that open, honest and transparent feedback loop.
Yeah, and also if I could just add to that, the employee self-services, in Victoria, people are still working from home. So how do you get those policies out? How do you make sure that, you've got a work safe plan, a COVID safe plan, to return to work? And, when you're working at home, are you, in a good position sitting at a desk and have all the, the right things you need to have, with sitting in a chair and all the above? Putting that through the employee self-service has just been absolutely brilliant for us and our clients to get that feedback. So we'll cover some of this off at the very end. What I want to introduce to you as my first topic is setting the right pathway for success. And I think, if we look at the traditionally, if we look at the way when COVID first hit, it was a bit of an unknown, and I think everyone went into a bit of panic mode, and there was things like we've got to survive, we've got to thrive. This is what we need to do during this time period. But and then there was lots of talk with pivoting your business, so go down, start introducing different income streams to your business to survive. All of that's happened, but I think as we've traded out of COVID-19, and Melbourne's still locked down, but we are trading out of it very, very soon. I think what's really important is for the business owner, the leaders of the company, of just setting that right foundations and that right pathway for success, because you've got to have this mindset that I've got to have a successful business, because if I don't, then I'm pretty much concede that my business might be in trouble. So some of my key points are around this, right? Number one is it's all about having that positive mindset and direction of where you want to take your business. And Alistair, you and I were having a conversation yesterday, but clearly for us and our clients, we can see that the clients that have really got that positive mindset, doesn't matter how bad things get, that positive mindset and showing their team direction where they want to take the business, have actually had a lot more uptake of their staff getting on board with it and trying to help support the business what it needs to do, as opposed to the reverse. I think many businesses have pivoted, as I said before, into a new direction during this lockdown, but as you open or reopen, what does success look like? So as a business owner, I need to sit back and go, well, what does success look like for my business now? What do I actually want out of the business? And I think you need to have that, what I call a good vision or a solid pathway to get your business back on track. And remember that, engaging your team to try and help with that pathway is really important, but you really need to lay that pathway. This is where we're going, guys. Get ready, be on the journey for where we want to take the business, because this is what's going to be create that survival. And I think what's important as well is, it's all about what you want from yourself personally and your business. And we need to accept, this is the thing that I don't think a lot of Australian business owners have actually got yet. We actually need to accept there's going to be a new normal way of we do business. I think there's a bit of a mindset that we're going to get back to some sort of normality. But you can see already up in Sydney, you're starting to get spikes of COVID popping up. Here, left, right, and centre, and we've got that. We've had that happen all over Melbourne, and it just what tends to happen is it's totally shut down. So we need to accept the way that we're actually. What's the new normal look like? What's your opinion on that, Alistair?
Mate, you've hit the nail on the head. I mean, you hear a lot of the catch cries as far as being, agile and needing to adapt and so forth. But I think the key point is really the attitude that you bring as a leader. We know it has a trickle-down effect into culture. Culture is something that's dynamic. It can erode, it can be built up. And really the benchmark that you set at the top as a business leader, I think is going to be, you know, one of the key elements in riding out this wave and really discovering as day by day and week by week, you know, what the new norm is going to look like and how you can shape that in your own business dealings, and particularly in how you're going to service your clients through it as well.
Yep, we know that staff don't like change. It's always been something, but again, you know, we're in a world now where it's forever changing, I think. So I think once you know what you want, which is really important, my next subject is around, you know, well, what does success look like for your staff, right? And you know, one of the questions that, you know, we seem to be asking a lot of employees is, you know, what do you actually want? You know, do you really want to be part of this business anymore? I mean, because you know, there's been some disengagement, obviously, with especially down here in Victoria with the shutdown and everything like that. But I think, you know, you need to know what does success look like for you, but what does it look like for your staff? So you need to know, you know, to show the pathway for your staff of what the business needs to do in order to survive. And I think what's important is, you know, your staff have got to understand the reasons why, right? So I don't think we need to talk about COVID, because we know what the reasons why is COVID, but I think it's more around that, you know, why we need to change. I call it business acumen. As a business, we need to be smarter with the way we do things, become more efficient. We need to change the way we do things, diversify, or maybe go into a new direction. Your staff should, I think is very important, staff should have good clarity on what the business needs to do for better outcomes. And then we've got to get that buy-in as well. So if we get the buy-in and the reasons why we're doing things, I think that's going to make life a lot easier. And to me, this is all about delegation and leadership. And Alistair, you and I just had a conversation before, because we've actually put staff on during this COVID period, even though that we're all working home and remotely and everything like that. But one of the things that really stood out is, you know, for myself, I actually created less KPIs for my team, simplified it, and just said, just go for it. This is what I need you to own. Just own it and run with it. And we've had a better outcome. So when you look at the traditional things of HR, of, you know, all these KPIs you need to achieve and you know, these best practice methods, I just think, you know, through COVID, we've simplified things and we've actually got a better result as a business. So I actually question that. I don't know about, you know, can you just share with the people on the webinar, you know, what FCB's done?
Sure, mate, look, I think you're exactly right. It's streamlining what before we've probably had the luxury of wanting to go more broader with HR sometimes, or having stretch targets and being quite ambitious in what we're trying to do. But for people really need the comfort and I think, you know, being able to swim within the lane that is the essentials. It's coming down to what they know is achievable. You're not putting undue pressure. One of the key values that we have at enableHR is open, honest and transparent feedback. And one of the things that our managing director's done all the way through is every Wednesday, we've actually had a 45-minute session brought in where we've been actually closing that communications loop, even week by week. And, you know, truth be told, they're not always easy conversations to be having from the top. It can be a bit confronting talking about, you know, the challenges you're having in your business, but setting those goals that we know are achievable and actually, you know, talking through what success looks like and the bounce back strategy has really been instrumental, I think, to the success that we've had as well.
I put that down to employee engagement. That's what it's all about. So
absolutely.
Obviously, you know, with what we're talking about is why you must implement some sort of best practice principles. And again, you know, COVID has really put a lot of people into a reactive spin. And it's time to be in that proactive spin. So don't fall into the trap of being reactive and live in that vicious circle. And it's a comment that I always talk to a lot of clients who talk to me that are going through some hard times. And, you know, to me, there's three categories. There are people who are going some really tough times that really can't see the light to the end of the tunnel. There are people that are hanging in there, going in okay. And then there are businesses out there that are actually thriving. But you got to have this mindset of, I don't want to live in the vicious circle anymore. If I need to scale back to rebuild again, that's what I need to do. But I need to have that, you know, if I start getting back to the core basics of what runs a business. So like in AFL land or in rugby land, when a team is failing, what do? They go back to the core basics and start introducing some of the best practice principles to rebuild again. So I think most of us have been reactive, as I said, in the COVID-19, but, you know, I think it's okay. It's okay. We've been reactive, but it's time now to rebound and get back on track and get your team back on track to serve those customers that have been shut out or but haven't been able to come and see you, that are ready to purchase again. I think there's going to be a big influx as things open up, especially here in Victoria. Follow best practice methods will actually also reduce the stress, I think, the stress levels and the anxiety for you and your team. So if we get back to the core principles, and one of the things that we know, if I can say it, normally when something's reactive, one of the things that goes out the window is HR, right? But getting back into those best practice principles of doing things like making sure people are following process, our procedures, and our policies, and then bringing back in some of those performance conversations, I think is really, really important. Best practice methods are tried and tested, so we know that these produce results. So, I think it's really important, and I think having that snapshot bird's eye view of how your business is performing is the key for better success. So we've got, government incentives that have been put in place to support us, but one of the things that I'm really, really strong on is start looking at your business without the government incentives. Just treat it as a bonus, because they're going to reduce, and you want to make sure that your business is actually heading in that right direction. You also need to start to work out, as I just said, to perform without those government incentives, because that's just going to get rid of those stress levels. So when we think about products like Xero, I just use it, accountancy software, which I know integrates with enableHR. It's a great system. You're budgeting and making sure that you've got some really good, what I call forecasting foresight of what's coming through. It's the same thing when you're managing staff, because I think staff is one of your biggest wages. So is there anything you want to add to what I just talked about there, Alistair?
No, Colin, I think you hit the nail on the head. But as you said, I think time waits for no man, and don't hang around. I think there are it is a rapidly evolving environment we find ourselves in, and we know that short and medium term strategies that may have been in place before it, it's not the time to leave them on the shelf or to think that they're going to be applicable in the future. As you said, get back to basics. We know the fundamentals of business and people management haven't changed. Reassess and relook at what you're doing, and certainly in the short to medium term, I think as well is tweak it where needs be and get back on track.
Yep. Now I'm going to talk about one of my favourite things with getting the business going, which is ripping the band-aid off for greater outcomes, right? So to me, I think it's time to get your business back on track. So wherever you are in Australia, I think this is what it's about. So if I'm a B2B type of business or a B2C type of business where, we're out visiting clients and stuff, and again, in Victoria, it's all done by Zoom, right? You can't see them face to face, but that's the adversity that we've got to deal with. But I think, as discussed earlier, this is about best practice methods for more sales activity. I think following up on your leads from your marketing activities. And one of the things that we've seen a lot of, and I've done a lot of work with this, everyone is spraying marketing out there left, right, and centre, and they're pushing stuff out to their clients in hoping they're going to get more leads. But sales best practice is to follow up on people who have actually acknowledged or clicked on an article, gone through your website, or downloaded something off your website. There's that follow-up that still needs to happen. And if you're putting proposals up, making sure you're following up on those proposals that have been sent. And, I think I said to you, Alistair, we've picked up more past clientele, which has been great for us over the last 6 months than ever before. The win backs we've had has been, and there was nothing wrong with what we did beforehand. It's just, business has changed. I think what's happened is, COVID's put them back under pressure again. So we've had a lot of past clients come back to us. So you want to follow up your past customers to see how they're going, and is there anything you can do? And it's not about selling. To me, it's about educating. How do you engage with them again? Educate them. What can you do to help? And just ask the questions and let them come back to you, because it will happen. I think, with all the marketing initiatives, I actually had a hookup before this webinar with a client. They got a great website. They got great marketing initiatives, but they're not capturing those opportunities into some sort of client records management system, so to follow up. So anyone downloads something off our website, we get an email to say, Alistair, you've just downloaded this off KBA website, and that just creates a great call to action. I think when you're with the client, have a look at some of those cross-sell, upsell opportunities. And one of the things I'm going to talk about before is maybe some of your clients don't know you actually offer this service, right? Or they've never been educated or forgotten. So I think it's a really good opportunity for you to re-educate and build that sales pipeline. And anyone that's on this webinar that comes from a bit of a sales background, knowing that if you've got a solid sales pipeline coming through, that's got to be healthy for your business. So I think based on the above, it's all about that forecasting what potential income opportunities are coming. And and that's more for B2B, B2C, and even trade-based businesses that are out there. But for the likes of our retail and hospitality customers out there, you know, we just got to get ready for those customers who will return back. And you can know by the activity that you're putting out there on your socials through Facebook or Instagram and stuff like that. If you've got lots of engagement, knowing, you know, if you're going to reopen and start educating them about new food or whatever you've got, you know, new clothing or whatever it is, you know, when you're ready to open, you want those customers to come back. A lot of companies in the retail space have tried to jump online and have those online sales, but there's still a massive amount of people that loves that retail therapy coming in face to face, and those people that like to dine and go and eat in those in the outdoors, which is now the new norm. So I think we've got to have that real good sales mindset within the business, which then takes it to making the right decisions to move your business forward. So I always say, anyone talks to me, sales is the bloodline of any business. No sales, no business. So we've all got to try and make sure that we're creating those income opportunities through it. And in Melbourne, as I mentioned before, businesses that are, you know, they're still in stage 4 restrictions. Well, you know, we're hopefully by the 1st of November, if our great premier down here opens things up, you know, it's time now to start planning on what does it look like? What does success look like for your business? What does it look like for you know, for your staff? If you've been, you know, if I say the word, you know, restraint in how you can actually trade. I think you need to also look at that insight. So what's happening in today, and good insight, good foresight. So what's happening today, what might happen tomorrow, and I think it's really, really important to sit back and go back to that best practice. Look at your business, making sure that, you know what, do we have good marketing strategies in place? Do we have good sales strategies in place? Are our finances going well? You know, what have we got to do? Look at our pipeline, our forecasting, and then, you know, try and work out what that potential revenue is going to be so you can make better decisions. And to make all this happen, you know, to make the best informed decisions, I always say leverage from your accountancy software like Xero or Mile, which will let you predict some sales revenue, purchases and expenses that are coming through. So again, you know, don't live a day-by-day business is what my message is. Make sure that you've got some planning in place that's going to help you grow. Is there anything you'd like to add to what I've just put forward so far, Alistair?
Yeah, Cole, certainly from my own team and BD and so forth in the account management, the number one thing we've done, certainly I guess the bird in the hand, is retention. What is it that you're doing to individually engage with your existing clients to obviously grow and upsell them? But as you mentioned, mate, there is a hell of a lot of noise out there. I think a lot of people are, you know, shooting from the hip and chucking out a lot of marketing initiatives. So there's people vying for the client's attention. You know, what is it that you're doing to stand out? Second to that as well is, I think, ask for and seek out honest feedback from your clients as well. It's not so much just picking up the phone and wanting to tell them. It's, you know, how are you finding things? How are we performing? What are other service providers in your sphere doing that's really delighting you? And how can you adapt it? So certainly from us, we're a big believer in the Net Promoter Score. You know, FCB Group's got one of the leading highest scores from a professional services organisation, but for Enable, we lag in that area, and it really has been, what are the things that you can tell us to do that we're factoring in to, you know, modify the product or modify what it is that we're going to do next to be a better provider for you? And I think, especially at times like this, people like the personal touch and the personal engagement.
100%. You know, I think by not being in contact with your clients is a big danger. And again, if you and you know, for the larger businesses that rely on their teams to get in contact with those clients, you know, it's getting, you know, in Melbourne, you know, with the shutdown, you know, I can tell you, the last couple of months, there's been clients that I've worked with where the sales guys and the customer service guys are ringing clients and not even answering their phones, right? So that's disheartening. But again, you know, it's all about, you know, that resilience in keep going and keep that moving forward. I think, you know, when we're setting goals with our team, and you know, I'm always a big believer in go and ask your team. You know, with all the training that I do, I always say that 80–90% of the ideas on how to improve your business lie within your business. You've just got to extract it from your team and get that buy-in. Because if you get really good buy-in and clarity, then when you come up with a project, then that's just going to make things happen. So I think it's important that, you know, with your goals and objectives that you're trying to do, you want to be in the driver's seat of running your business. Yeah, and I think what's really important is you got to ask yourself, are some of those goals and objectives realistic, right? Because you don't want to put something that's too hard in front of somebody which is unrealistic. If you're struggling in this area, I always recommend seek that professional advice to help you trade out of the COVID-19 before you make irrational decisions. And you just brought that up before. There are many companies that are making irrational decisions. And what happens is when that become so reactive and irrational, some staff just check out and leave that company. And I think, you know, we know that when we employ somebody, it takes a long time to get them up to speed with the branding of your business, your mission, vision, and values, and what you do. So, you know, try and retain your current employees and get a better uplift and impact happening with them. I think you need to have your whole team 100% on board with your goals and objectives. So there's no point saying we're going to go down this department and we're going to do this pathway and someone else is going to go down another pathway. You've all got to be together and try and keep that as close to it as possible. In a small business, that's easy to do. As you get into a medium or larger business, it's then up to the leaders to try and keep that alignment, which I think is important. You've got to be confident with your goals and objectives. And I made the comment before, we actually simplified things. So, you know, our company has felt that we're overachieving because we've simplified things. So I'm actually getting a better result than what I did beforehand. So it's just interesting, and I'm always up for conversation with anyone who wants to have a chat about that. And I think, you know, it's also about, you know, how you execute it. And one of the things that I talk about is, you know, stay focused. Don't look in the revision mirror, right? Because the window's bigger in the front of you when you're driving a car than the one behind you. Yeah, and I think, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger always had a saying, and that was, you know, he's always had a plan A, never a plan B, because a plan B means that you always think about it, I can go back to it. So I think, you know, building that right pathway, I think right now, you've got to have this plan A, you just got to go for it and move forward. Yes, you might tweak it, but just give it a good red hot crack. And we're now in that situation where we're building up to Christmas. So now's the opportunity to try and get some of that money back that we've actually lost. I think know your sales, know your purchase, know your expenses, and make those informed decisions for today and tomorrow. And, you know, 2021 is just around the corner. So let's have a conversation about ways to engage for greater outcomes. So I think the understanding of the power of leadership and collaboration. So one thing that COVID has shown us, I think, with the work that we do with ourselves and our clients, is collaboration is the most powerful tool. If you can get your team to collaborate and you've got everyone on the same page, this demonstrates good leadership and engagement, and people will just go and execute it. And, you know, there's always been this big fear factor. So during COVID, we've seen business owners that haven't felt confident about their staff working from home. Are they working or are they not? And one particular client of ours, I remember after about 6 weeks of COVID starting, he pulled up an org chart and he had crosses against people's names because he didn't believe they were working. So I think, you know, if we've got really good leadership and collaboration, I think what that means is, you know, we've got to have that thing called trust. The guys that work from home need to trust that they're actually doing the work. And I think our millennials and Gen Z want that work-life balance. Well, certainly they've got it right now, especially here in Melbourne, for sure. So I think if you can help your staff create better outcomes, I think that's really, really important. And I think that recognition and is really, really important. I think I'm a big believer, and you and I spoke about this before, Alistair, that the companies with good mission, vision, and values in their business that's followed by their staff, it's really shown that they've stuck together through thick and thin of this of the situation that we've all gone through. And I think, you know, when you share some best practice methods with them, it'll create a positive environment, such as, you know, how the business needs to perform, that business acumen I was talking about before. And I think, you know, businesses, especially during COVID-19, it's not been easy, but the collaboration with others and other local like-minded businesses has really helped with that mental toughness. And I'd love your feedback on what I've just talked about, Alistair.
Mate, you're exactly right. I think the mission, vision, and values, it's so important to embody that, I think, as the leader. One of the things Enable's actually doing off the back of this, we're actually revisiting our mission, vision, and values and actually tweaking them for 2021. We've kept the same fundamentals there, but as you've said, I think the business world's moved on the way in which we collaborate as a team. You know, we've embraced technology, and, you know, we've moved to Zoom meetings, and there's so many things that we've done as a business that have probably, you know, it's been a new way of working. We need to make sure that we're consistently, you know, adhering to the values that underpin what it is that we're actually trying to do. So keeping people along for the journey, I think, as leaders, being visible, being present, and being proactive. And you hit the nail on the head before, mate, when you said there is the need for, you know, a degree of compassion, I think, and understanding when it's required. We know the business goals that we're trying to do. At the same token, you know, our people are our greatest assets, and we treat them as such. And they're obviously going to be the key to our success moving forward.
Yeah, I think, Alistair, what's important is, it depends on the actual business, but one of the things that we've done is over the last 3 months, especially, because we know the beast that we're dealing with now, and we know that it's tougher and tougher, to try and work from a home and do what you need to do. But we've sent flowers to our staff, we've sent balloons, we've sent candles, we've sent gift vouchers, because we just appreciate them doing what we strive to do, and that's take our clients from good to great in their businesses. So I think, that appreciation, I think, is just huge. It's everything for to have a really good culture within your business. So my next subject is about, creating those new projects to build motivation. So this is a big thing for me. When I go into a company, I hear people say, we need to change, we need to change, we need to change. Well, the first thing we need to acknowledge is staff hate the word change, right? We certainly have had to do some changes through COVID-19, but I think I like to call it projects. Hey guys, we've got this project. This is what our project is. And every time we create a project, there should be a start and a finish date of a project. And what's really interesting is, when we were in that first stage of COVID-19, we were scratching our head, wondering what's our future look like. I created some projects for some of my staff to get our CRM better than what it currently is, get our reporting better than what it was, and just gave 2 people the responsibility to go and do it. And Sarah and Smritha in our business were absolutely fantastic. And what this creates is it creates something like more focus and more motivation to work more collaborative together. I think has been interesting. And even though the 2 people live in their own separate homes and working from their homes, they're working on a project which is to the benefit of the whole company. I think projects can be small or large, but they can't drag out. So again, I see Christmas around the corner. What's our project between now and Christmas? And what's our project for 2021? And start putting those, I like to use the word project or task or something like that. Projects to me can involve people from different departments, which creates better employee engagement. And I think it also can involve an outside consultant to come in to help to make sure it's completed, like verify the project, what we're trying to achieve. All of this builds motivation. And again, there's a lot of tired people. I don't know what it's like up there in Sydney for you guys, Alistair, and other people that are around Australia are on this webinar, but in Victoria, there's no holidays. You can't even go to a regional area for a holiday. You get fined. The police have locked down the entire metro area, so there's no holidays. The only way they can get a holiday is sneak out of Victoria and get up to Queensland, which we know some people have done that via a boat going up the east coast, which I think is absolutely, and that's called initiative, right? But like people are tired, so we've got to try and how do you keep that keep that motivation going? So I think again that importance of recognition and praise, it builds confidence that we're going okay. It demonstrates that you care for your employees. And I think it shows that you've taken interest. So just sometimes the little projects you do, the acknowledgement of that just changes the entire outcome of the person's mindset. And it demonstrates that you believe in your staff. I think, for me, it's about that leadership and mentorship that mentorship that you need to implement. And if staff feel more appreciated, then to me, they'll be more loyal to your brand. And I think, keeping people engaged and focused, you're just going to come out even better next time round. And during this pandemic, as I've mentioned many times, showing appreciation with the staff and how they've responded in adversity definitely needs to be acknowledged. You need to create some sort of acknowledgement, and I think give them something special, depending on the situation of where your business is at, of course. But if I had a staff member leave my business today, right now, one staff member, that would impact us quite substantially with the amount of uptake that we've had with the work that's come through our business. Anything you want to add on to that? Because I know, Alistair, you're a massive fan of recognition and praise.
We are. It's one of the bedrocks of our culture, I think, and you have to recognise great efforts. And I think that's when people feel, delighted to continue to put 110% in. No surprises. Like many businesses, FCB Group had to look at the hours that were working, and at the beginning stage we've since brought the vast majority of people back up to full time, but there were people working on reduced hours, and yet we found in almost every instance our workforce went above and beyond, and in a lot of instances we're actually working more than before they started, and that really is testament I guess, to the individuals, but how they also respond as being part of a team. Mate, to your point around projects, I couldn't agree more. We've got some diverse areas of the business. Not every part of the business was at 100% capacity, if you like, and we really did also make use of some of the time to look at things. What is it that we can do to set ourselves up for success in the future? What is the next growth horizon? What do we see as key elements of change that have affected our business or change that we've embraced? So a lot of it for us had to do around processes and procedures, most notably the enableHR client services team, looking at now having a team that were working from home, working remotely, and what was a new system that we could bring in that was going to allow us to more effectively and efficiently process tickets and also tier them, which we'd done before, but getting a bit smarter in regards to the allocation of time and how quickly we could actually respond to clients. If it was a quick win, don't put it to the bottom of a importance list. Of course, it was something that was a quick and easy thing to do. Actually ways in which we could delight the client. But you're exactly right, having reasons to celebrate, especially in times which there's a lot of negative messaging out there at the moment, and I think being part of a high performing team at work can be a real place of solace.
I would absolutely love some of the people in this webinar put some comments in the chat box on how you and I are going, because I think from the webinars that I've sat in on enableHR and that, people are starting to see behind the scenes a bit of the human element that what sits behind the brand of enableHR, which I think is absolutely fantastic. So if you like what Alistair and I are talking about, just put some comments in the chat room. If you've got any questions, by all means, start to filter some of those questions through. Okay,
please,
ways to develop new business opportunities, I think is my next point. And again, I always say, don't assume your customers know everything about what you have to offer. Right, so we've got all our products and services and that. I think it's part of education. How do you educate your clients in what to do? You may have a product or a service that wasn't so relevant during COVID-19, but as we trade out, might be very relevant right now. So I think it's very, very important that you just sit back and reflect. I think concentrate on what you're good at and known for, and showcase your business. So one of the things that I see a lot of is people trying to throw things out to the market, but I think if you can educate your market a bit more and showcase your business a bit more, show that human element about what you're all about, I think is going to be more power of attraction. So we do that through different forms of social media, our blogs, direct emails and stuff like that, our phone calls, SMSs, webinars like this. I think even things like postcards and gifts to clients. I think, all of the above. You can't do anything wrong if you're showcasing your business. And, I always talk about, so previous webinars that I've done a massive amount of series of webinars this year during the COVID period, but I always talk about the 3 coffee shops that are down in North Essendon where we are. And there are 3 beautiful coffee shops down there, but the difference is they all make coffee and they all make good coffee. But the difference is one coffee shop has, 2 staff members standing behind serving customers, and the other next coffee shop has got a couple of staff members that are serving behind the counter, and they've got a table out the front, which is around showing off some of their cakes. And then you go down to the rest of the coffee shop's called Friends of Ours, and Godfrey's out the front as the business owner, and all he's doing is asking the customers, are you okay? Right? So he's putting himself out there in front of his customers, and he just wants to know, are you okay? How you going with COVID? Is there anything we can do to help? Do you need some food brought, for lunch? This is our lunch menu. So all he's doing is engaging with his customers. Now, the difference of what I can give you this good case study on is at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, you've got one coffee shop that might have 1 or 2 people. The second one might have 3 or 4 people, but there's 20, 25 people down in front of Godfrey's coffee shop, and they're bike riders and everything like that. So it's only coincidence that you put yourself out there and you showcase your business, and you show that you generally want to you're there for your clients. What the difference that can make to your business. And I always scratch my head in amazement, Alistair, like how the other 2 coffee shops have not picked up the difference. And I think what it is the difference is the owners are not there. Whereas down the other road, the owners are definitely there. His name's Godfrey, and he's out there just acknowledging it. So I think, it's about thinking differently and refocusing your energy. So he could be behind the scenes serving coffee and everything like that, but no, he's out on the pavement every morning, making sure that all their customers are getting looked after and being served, and holding that big group in front of his business. I think it's a great case study. Okay, I'd like to have a chat about looking at ways to be innovative, right? So, so during these uncertain times, I think you need to be innovative, and you also need to be agile, which creates the switch. So how do we create a switch with our business? So I can't echo enough, and Alison's talked about before. Alison talked about the projects, like brainstorming with your team about what other products and services can you offer, and go to your clients. We've been very fortunate through COVID, where a couple of our clients have had some errors done with their payroll, and they've asked us to take on their payroll. So we've looked at that, brainstorm with our team, could we offer payroll as a service? And the answer is yes. So we've recruited for it. We're now offering it out as a service. We haven't launched it yet. We'll launch it in November. But again, there is opportunities out there. So I think as a business, you've got to, that's that pivot, creating some other income streams in your business, but look for those opportunities. And I think, think outside the square, but I've always built my business over the last 12 and a half years on when customers say, can you do this? I'll go away and think about it. But if 2 or 3 customers ask the same thing, well then guess what? We're going to turn it into a sellable product. That's the way that we operate. What other products and services can complement your current offerings? And it also might be partnering up with some other businesses, which again creates opportunity. So I think look at packaging your products or services and to offer more value. So I think we know the consumer is ready to spend, and we hear that okay, things are tough and stuff like that, but especially down here in Victoria, no one's been people doing online shopping, and a lot of people don't like online shopping. So when that opens up in a few weeks' time, I think our shopping centres are going to be saturated with lots of people. But what can you bundle up or cross-sell or upsell some incentives that the customer sees as a value add? So I think again, look at ways to be innovative and create a project. And then if you've got a good idea and a good project, then I'm going to tell you, market it. Go to market, give it a good red hot go, and see what you can come up with. Anything you want to add to that, Alistair?
Yeah, mate. Look, the other thing is, it's fabulous, for example, that Keybar has been in a position to be able to bring new products or new services onto it. If you're a business that isn't in that position, or you think there's a finite set of offering that you've actually got in place, the other thing we look at is what is your existing client base, or how do you cut it up? Do you service a particular number of industries? Is there a particular cross section by size? And what is it that your existing client base can inform? And even if it isn't so much creating a brand new product, how do you repackage it or go back to those existing clients or to businesses that you want to engage with, and talk about how your existing products can be innovative from their end in regards to how it applies or the benefit it brings to a business of a particular size, of a particular industry, and really looking at tweaking the messaging as well. Something that I think we tend to get somewhat complacent sometimes in how we communicate the product, so we think there's a one size fits all. But if you can't come to the market with the new product, certainly look at how you can tweak the communication around your existing product so that it really is landing that message onto the people that you want to reach.
Yeah, I think, look, one of the things that I encourage a lot when I go out to businesses, and we've done this in our own business, we've created some product champions. So we've gone and have a look at our products. How can we get better at educating our clients about what this product is all about? And what's interesting is, this creates, if you're in a situation when your business is in a bit of a downturn, I do want to put it out there that I thought that last quarter of the end of the financial year, I thought we'd be laying staff off because of things started to shrink a little bit, and we're giving a lot of free information out, as per was everyone around the JobKeeper and stuff like that, to try and help businesses. But I think if you're looking for a way to motivate your team, there's no better way than to sit back and go, right, let's have a look at our products. And you know what, if half your team says we don't like this product, we shouldn't sell the product, then I'd probably recommend you listen to that and work out something else to replace it or something like that. But I do believe that that's what creates the energy. And one of the things we did in our business, which I'm very proud of, is I played a game of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So I actually created a quiz around our products and services, and just to see what they liked about our products and services and where they saw that fitting in the chain of what we actually offer. So you can actually turn a situation to a real positive situation, and be innovative about it, where you get mass uptake. And again, we need to think about a person's well-being. And you know, what I think about is, which to me is really, really important, is when a staff member leaves their bedroom and goes into the kitchen, because that's the way it is down here in Melbourne, and their partner says, "How was your day today?" One of the things that I don't want them to say or do is bag my company or bag what we're trying to achieve. I actually want them to be an advocate for that. So I think that's important to try and get that culture and that positive mindset, which is going to help with the outcomes of your business. Okay, leading from the front and being proactive. So I think, again, you know, this is what this whole webinar has been about. And, you know, when we got together, Alistair, I wanted this to be such a real big motivational webinar to try and help some people out there that might be struggling or tick the boxes of people going, you know, in the right direction. But I think it's important. You've got to lead from the front, and which complements being innovative and agile. And that's what you've, as a leader, you've got to stand up in front of your team and go, this is where we're going. This is what we need to do. I think, yeah, have a look at your competitors. Have a look at what they're doing well and what they're not doing so well, and, you know, look at what you're doing well and not so well as well. I think that's important. Ask your customers, what other value-added services or products do you think we could offer, and see if there's some sort of feedback, because we've all got our close customers that we work very closely with. Brainstorm with your team and create those projects we talked about. Do a mini launch and test the water is another thing. And then if you have something special that you think will create energy within your team and better revenue, then just don't hold back. Just give it a good go. And at the end of the day, you know, I believe right now in this pandemic, you've got nothing to lose. But if you're going to release something or do something, make sure there's some strategy behind it, and make sure that you can deliver on your promises.
Yep.
Anything you want to add to that, Alistair? Because I'm really loving what we're going through today.
Mate, no, absolutely. I think certainly in regards to, if you're going to try something, you know, now is quite often a time to do it. Do a bit of A/B testing. So, you know, rather than going all in perhaps on an idea that might be untried or untested, to actually, you know, test it with some of your market or some of your client base to see what's getting cut through, what's working. The other thing that we do, certainly at Enable, is, you know, they say imitation's the highest form of flattery. And whilst you don't want to go out there and poach anyone's ideas, particularly perhaps from your competitors, but we really look for inspiration and, you know, draw some creativity from what's something that's delighted you personally. And it can be something totally left field and miles removed from what it is that either the product or the service that you deliver, you know, in your core business days and hours. That so most recently we looked at something. Someone was delighted and they changed insurance provider, and how they're actually approached and the timing and how quickly someone reached out to have a one-on-one conversation from car insurance. We really looked at, you know, well, how could we adapt something like that into the way in which we do things over here? So, you know, nothing happens in a vacuum. I think there is inspiration all around us, even things like TED Talks and some of the more mainstream things, but look at what resonates with you and try to, you know, draw that into your own future tasks, I think.
Yep, I totally agree. Okay, so our last topic is about 5 ways, you know, enableHR software can help your business. And to me, like everything that we talk about in this business, when we talk about with our clients, like what you do with your clients, is about just the importance of record keeping, that fair work compliance of keeping records. You know, and to me, it's all about best practice, you know, recording the good, the bad, the ugly. I think, you know, a lot of people engage a HR company or service for when there's problems, but, you know, in actual fact, you really, you know, that's there to protect you. But, you know, when you engage a HR company to help you grow, and you put the good things in there for you know, for your employees, I think that's a big, massive win. But record keeping is a big thing. It can be used for you know, future conversations. It can help with empowering your team, you know, training, or, you know, if there's some constructive feedback that you actually want to give them. Should something go wrong, then again, I don't have to go down this path, because, you know, this is what your space is in FCB law. But, you know, the history of conversation and documentation with every discussion is just so important. And then this will save you from the high penalties that get enforced, which I say keeps the whole lawyer industry alive for the future. So I think, you know, you've got to look at, you know, the enableHR system as a product that, you know, it's about record keeping, but think about its best practice. Like, I have a Xero account, I make sure that all the information is put in, all my invoicing, all my purchases, the whole lot. It is no different if you use a product like enableHR. I think, again, the recruitment and induction. So again, you know, the simplicity of what this product can do. And for people on this webinar, if you're not using this functionality, then you need to work out how to use it, yeah? And I think it's about, you know, like you can create a position description. There's a library of position descriptions you can have. You can create a job ad. You can link it to Seek. There's really good initiatives that Enable has done. Merge and create candidates. So it's again about, you know, that time management. So I don't have to, you know, grab someone and input. Once you've inputted it once, I can just actually merge and create a candidate, you know, convert the candidates to an employee and then produce that employment contract. And again, you know, not everyone understands what should be in an employment contract, but there's tips and everything like that in the system. If you don't know, then get the advice to support you in what you should know. And I think, you know, what's important is that onboard and induction, you know, when you create that simple checklist of what you need from that employee, and, you know, you start recording everything about the onboarding process, which is all in a file, and it's all there. And I think, you know, I say to a lot of companies that, you know, the first day of an employee has got to be one of their best days, if not the best day, because if you've got the right induction set up for that employee, then they're going to go home and say, I've made the right decision, I've come to the right place, which I think is important. Our contract compliance, right? So I'm not a lawyer, but again, you know, they're all underwritten by a law firm, which is, you know, from FCB. So again, my HR professionals, the 5 of them, they love using the contracts with enableHR because they're underwritten and they know that if there's changes, they'll make changes to those contracts. As legislation changes, as I just said, you know, Enable will update those contracts. It's in line with best practice legislation. So, you know, should something go wrong, you've got those tools there. And I think, you know, one of my HR team would say, you know, and FCB law would say the enableHR contracts support businesses to minimise your risk. So again, you know, we need to look at it, you know, 2 ways. One is risk, but the other one is more professional. So if I'm employing somebody, you know, let's say I'll put them on a salary of 70, 80, or even 100 plus thousand a year, then, you know, if you give them a 2-page contract, they're going to question what sort of company is this. So you really want to make sure that you've got that, and it will protect your business. So again, you know, through the you know, contract compliance and creating it, there's a step-by-step process you can do that. How did I go with that, Alistair? Am I on track with?
I think you're going to do me out of business, Colin. That was a brilliant summation. But you're exactly right. I think the employee and the employer experience is something to keep in mind. So if you've got an employee who's got a very slick, easy to follow, they've been given employee self-service, it's paperless onboarding, it's all in one spot. You know, it's easy from both parties to be able to manage the onboarding. It's a great experience for them. They know they're going to hit the ground running. But you know, the process of recruitment, it can be such a long and arduous process. You know, when you finally get to this selecting the right candidate, bringing them on board, you know, there are so many steps in it. You want it to be fast, you want a nice workflow, and it is all contained end to end in the system. You mentioned the point, you know, the landscape and the workplace relations in particular is changing quite rapidly. It always has. You know, we've got the 5 IR reform working groups that have just down tools. We're going to wait and see what the government does there, but there will be a lot of changes. One of the benefits of a cloud-based software is, of course, you've got the likes of FCB Law who sweep the content every 3 months. And if you've got dynamic documents up there like the contracts, those changes will actually be made on your behalf, and likewise yourself and the employee will get notified that, hey, a contract change has been made. Can you acknowledge that this has been done? And you can likewise see from your own risk management viewpoint that everyone has got the right information that they need.
And that's why we're an ambassador of your product, because you know, our professionals know that it's up to date. I think we talk about policies, procedures, and this is a big one, right? So again, you know, small businesses especially don't have time for this, you know, to put it in, but you know, it's part of requirements, part of legislation, it's compliance with fair work. You know, fair work obligation. You've got to have, you know, legislative policies in your business. And again, you've got a library of them in best practice, but I think you can then customize some of those policies and procedures, both HR and WHS, for your business, which I think is really, really good. And again, if you don't know what you're doing and you're a bit unsure about it, well then, you know, get the advice and get that support. But I think one of the things that we love about this product is the process of, you know, when you have your policy procedures and they're under the ESS, which is the employee self-service tabs, then you can push out a policy and procedure. And Unfortunately, down here is, next week starts well, it's actually started the spring carnival racing season down here in Melbourne, which we can't go to, but that's always a really good time to put something out around, code of conduct, how you behave yourself at a function, and understanding that what you can do and what you can't do in relation to treating other employees and then customers from that. So you can always put something out, and Christmas parties are coming as well. So we don't know how a Christmas party is going to look this year, but again, when you have a Christmas party, putting that correspondence out. This is the way that we hold ourselves. We need to protect our brand, respect one another. You can put something out. And, we have a client. I can just give one example. They're very good at 65 employees. If there's an update to a policy procedure, they just push it out through the ESS, and within 24 hours, 48 hours, they've got 65 people that have acknowledged it. Now, if you think about the man time, the man hours it would be for somebody to actually sit down with somebody, show them that, get a signature on it, it's just more efficient. And I think that's what's important. And then you receive the acknowledgement every time you send something out. So if there's something new you send out or an updated policy procedure, you get that acknowledgement, which again protects your business. And I do see it as part of best practice. Performance management, can be seen sometimes as a bit of a dirty word, but to me, performance management starts from when you recruit somebody right through to all the processes of training, development, one-on-one conversations, right through to that termination process. But with your performance management product that you've got within Enable, you've got the ability to provide you with pre-employment, that employee management right through that termination process, but it just gives you that step-by-step process. It's really easy to use. I think it helps you handle and support people management, from probationary right through to performance management termination that was discussed. The library of performance documents will support with any performance discussion that you need to have, good, bad, or indifferent. And my favourite part of the employment, the online performance reviews is we do it this in our business is we have a team of HR professionals. Stephanie does a review on the HR professional. The HR professional does a review, and I do a review on the person as well, and giving them like a 360 appraisal. And what happens is sometimes we're all aligned and other times we're not, and that creates good conversation, or maybe I get educated on something I didn't know. So I think that's a really good feature of it. And again, you have that integrated step-by-step checklist that tells you what to do. So again, I'm going to go back to that client. They do, they're a sales-based business, so they do performance appraisals, just performance discussions on performance KPIs once a month. And then every quarter they do, they bring in things like customer service, teamwork, and following process and systems and personal development. But they can put out 65 performance reviews in 3 seconds, and there's instructions on what to do. So within 2 or 3 days across their whole business, they've actually everyone's been engaged in a conversation. So I think it's absolutely brilliant. Anything else you want to add on to that, Alistair, in relation to performance discussions?
Mate, I think, performance, it's a double-edged sword. Performance management, it tends to be where most employers in our experience find themselves getting into trouble if they mishandle it. Conversely, I think it's such a huge asset to be able to keep your employees informed, to be giving that regular feedback. We know the online performance reviews, a lot of the clients we're dealing with now have actually said they're bringing the frequency of their online performance reviews from what had tend to be annually, or at least 6 monthly, down to quarterly, particularly through COVID, or in some instances monthly. And in addition to looking at the core feedback around roles and responsibilities and quantifiable KPIs, it's also looking at some of the softer areas. How's your performance been in regards to being a team member? It does come, enableHR does come pre-configured with, I think, about 60 different KRAs and so forth. So there is a good jumping off point if you're doing this for the first time. But I think especially, post-COVID, and as you're bouncing back and looking for success, the best thing you can do is keep people informed as to how they're performing. And give them the
It's also great for succession planning as well. So I think that's a great conversation. So if you promise something, or you're going to do some training with somebody, you put it down as an objective, and then it holds you, the owner, accountable, or the manager accountable, that you've got to execute on, which I think is great. And there's so many good features around it. You know, I can put in some comments in, you know, during the quarterly reviews about the staff members' performance, and then when I do the performance review, it actually reminds me of some of the comments that I've put in. They can't see, but you can see it as a manager. So, Alistair, I don't know how you would rate our very first webinar together as a partnership, but I'm pretty happy with how it's gone. And we don't have any questions or answers, so any questions at the moment. So I think that's probably a sign of a thorough webinar. But if anyone wants to know, looking for an easy way to manage your people, and you want to know anything more about an enableHR product, you know, there's your details there. And if anyone likes what I've spoken about during this webinar, then, you know, book a free 15-minute chat with me. Just go to my website, give us a call. There's no problems in doing that. Like everything, we've got, you know, return to work after COVID-19. We've got a series of checklists you can go through and download and have a look at what we've got there. There's also a series of checklists inside the enableHR system as well. So you know, we're not competing or anything like that. It's just you know, it's just two different ways of doing it. And I think, Alistair, I just want to say personally, on behalf of myself and the team here at KBA, we just want to say thanks very much, because, you know, we had a conversation about, you know, doing some things differently during this COVID. And you threw it to me, what do you want to do? And I said, well, how about we do a webinar? And that just absolutely complements what we just talked about trying different things and doing different things. So we hope that our people on this webinar absolutely loved it, like you and I did. And I think you and I are a good partnership, mate. So, but your team will tell you that when you when you finish from this webinar in about 2 minutes.
Thank you, Colin, mate. And we greatly appreciate, obviously, all the effort of key business advisors. And for everyone still online, as I said, stay tuned. We're certainly going to be doing a couple more of these. And likewise, as you said, mate, I think it's stepping away from the norm and what we've historically done and looking for new ways to bring value. So it's been certainly fabulous.
All right, mate. Thanks so much. Thanks, everyone. And that concludes the webinar. Cheers.